this individual assaulted federal officers at a gas station about a mile away and then engaged officers in a high-speed pursuit.
We are only on day 4 of Operation Charlotte's Web in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we've already had multiple assaults on Border Patrol officers, we've already had multiple high-speed pursuits, and unfortunately, it's probably going to get worse.
Charlotte, our community is under siege. ICE and Border Patrol are roaming this community, profiling people, picking people up. It does not matter who you are. You can be an immigrant, you can be legal, illegal, or U.S. citizen.
And just like we saw in Chicago, Los Angeles, Portland, now we have lawmakers who are chiming in. This is a member of Congress who has written in her caption, "If there are things you see from Border Patrol that should not be, please report those incidents to my office immediately, and please be careful." And then of course she gives her number where you can report the things that should not be. Okay, so day 4 of Charlotte's Web, and we are already seeing the tactics that I think everyone expected since we saw this same exact thing over in Chicago. You have ICE trackers or Border Patrol trackers, people gather together, they volunteer their time, they honk their horns, they whistle, they try to get in the way of Border Patrol, but of course people take it too far sometimes and you end up in a high-speed chase.
So what we had here today was assault on a federal officer. This individual assaulted federal officers at a gas station about a mile away and then engaged officers in a high-speed pursuit, failed to yield to our lights and siren. She traveled down this cul-de-sac here, came to a stop, and was arrested. That's what we know right now.
Now, to this day, it amazes me that people do not realize Border Patrol has a lot more power than people think. If you antagonize, if you assault, if you obstruct federal officers, they're not just gonna say, well, they're an American citizen, we're gonna let them go. No, you will be arrested. We keep seeing this same pattern over and over again, and it turns out this is because, statistically speaking, this has become an increased problem. In fact, here's a brand new reports from Bill Mulligan. He is a Fox News correspondent. DHS tells Fox News that new data reveals vehicle ramming/attacks are surging against federal immigration agents, up 1,300% versus ICE compared to 2024, and up 58% versus Border Patrol compared to 2024. So now, all of a sudden, it just turns out we have a 1,000% increase in vehicle rammings. What is going on? Why now, all of a sudden, is this becoming a problem? And it's not becoming a small problem. These statistics speak up for themselves. This is a huge problem, and here are some of the images in which you can see ICE vehicles, Border Patrol vehicles being involved with these rammings. It's a very big problem. Now look, to the Trump administration, it's because lawmakers are quite literally calling Border Patrol agents members of terror organizations or insinuating they are the enemy. Now, before we watch this clip, do me a big favor, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. By liking the video and subscribing to my channel, it makes sure that you don't miss anything, and I don't want others to miss anything as well. So let's watch this video. Again, this is a member of Congress. We pay taxes for stuff like this.
Charlotte, our community is under siege. ICE and Border Patrol are roaming this community, profiling people, picking people up. It does not matter who you are. You can be an immigrant, you can be legal, illegal, or U.S. citizen. They're picking people up. It's my understanding that almost 100 people, or maybe more, have been picked up already. So I'm urging each of you, please be careful. If there are things that you see that should not be, please report those to my office immediately. And please be careful.
Now look, I don't want to make the claim that this member of Congress is trying to gather data like we're seeing over in Chicago, but again, we saw this same exact thing over in Chicago where the governor and other lawmakers were saying, we want to create this database, send us the license plates, send us descriptions of the agents. I am not claiming that this is what the member of Congress is trying to do, but this is the same pattern we have seen over in the other sanctuary cities where lawmakers were saying, send in the information information. And by the way, North Carolina is not a sanctuary state, neither is Charlotte, North Carolina, not a sanctuary city, but we are seeing sanctuary tendencies. Now, interesting enough, Chief Bovino has responded to these blanket statements like Border Patrol is just roaming the streets and plucking people off the streets. Here's what he had to say.
By this individual that you see in the video, what do you say to people when they look at that and say that falls outside of this purview of getting criminals out? What do you say to them?
Martha, do we know the criminal records of those so-called landscapers? Do we know the criminal records of any illegal alien walking the streets here in Chicago or anywhere else? What we're finding is child rapists in big box stores looking to go into people's homes or hang those Christmas lights like we see in this video here. How do you know who these people are? Do they have a criminal record maybe in their home country? Who are these people? Too many times we're finding that some very, very disreputable individuals are seeking work in people's homes, in their gardens, and otherwise. We don't want those people in society.
Now look, statistically speaking, the mass majority of Americans in the 90% would actually agree with Chief Bovino that, yeah, we don't like criminals, but what it comes down to is the identification of illegal immigrants who might be a criminal. Now, I also want to point out, Tricia McLaughlin has also called out the governor of North Carolina, keeping with this idea of how are we supposed to know who's a criminal and not a criminal? Well, this is what Tricia McLaughlin said. Firstly, Roy Cooper refused to turn over 1,400 violent criminal illegal aliens to ICE on his watch. When these public safety threats and predators are released back into Charlotte streets, they will re-offend and create more victims. Second, illegal immigration is a crime, much like trespassing. And thirdly, claiming there's racial profiling is absurd and devoid of fact. So as you guys can see, this all seems rather chaotic no matter where you look with this Charlotte's Web story. In fact, I want to show you guys something rather interesting. Straight from Jacob Sabaroff. I don't agree with him politically, but this is his content. I want to give him a little credit. Look at what he found.
Hey, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have to talk very quietly because I'm in a church, but check this out.
Yeah, so we'll go over that in a second. And then we'll have you in a signal chat during your shift, and we're asking you to please post the details in the signal chat.
This is not a church service. This is a training being run by Siembra, North Carolina. It's called Safe to Work, Safe to School. All those people are here because they do not want Donald Trump's masked arms of federal agents on the streets of Charlotte. They watched what happened in LA, they watched what happened in Chicago, and they're all here to be trained about how to get their neighbors and their friends and their coworkers safely to work and safely to school to push back on the Trump administration on what they are doing.
Now look, I'm just gonna say what everybody else is thinking. This kind of looks like a seminar on how to possibly either obstruct or how to harbor an illegal immigrant. Again, I'm not saying it is, but when we follow these stories and you look at how vague the federal laws are as far as stuff like this, it is very easy for the US government to find any little thing, such as, hey, did you guys have the proper code? Is this wire put out of place? Well, now we're gonna do an investigation. I think you guys know what I mean, but I'm just trying to show you guys, again, everything seems to be rather chaotic with this entire story on all fronts, from the lawmakers to the group organizers, from Border Patrol trying to figure out what they're going to do next. Again, this is the reality of the situation here.
On Monday night, we are at the Dilworth United Methodist Church in Charlotte, and the turnout is incredible. I'm going to show you again.
But we are worried not only about violent overreaction by Border Patrol, putting people in the immediate area of this, we are worried about.
Okay, so leave your comments down below how you felt about that. But I want to show you we're starting to see a domino effect already in Charlotte. And again, Charlotte is not a sanctuary state, but they are kind of acting like one depending on what city we look at. And this is Asheville, North Carolina. This is the city council. Look at what they're trying to do.
Presented a resolution for the city council to consider at our council meeting this Tuesday, November 18th. It follows precedent from other cities to ensure land and facilities owned by the city of Asheville will not be used for civil immigration enforcement. This
sounds just like Chicago.
Includes community. This includes community centers, parking lots, and parks and recs facilities. Setting clear policy supports local law enforcement officers by maintaining their focus on serving and protecting our residents and upholding the law. The resolution is not yet on our City Council agenda. It needs your support. I urge friends, neighbors, people of faith, workers, and local businesses to contact the City Council to express support for the resolution as we stand together for inclusion, safety, and belonging for all.
So for those of you that have been subscribed to my channel for quite some time now, this might be like the 4th time we have seen something like this, where we have a city council or lawmakers create a law that's to stop ICE, Homeland Security, these deportations that cannot be enforced or have any jurisdiction over federal agents. Once again, we are seeing it happen. Now, Tom Homan must be watching the T-SPLY YouTube channel, or at the very least, watching the same clips we are, because Tom Homan actually responds to what we've been watching and seeing already in Charlotte. Check this out.
Roll this.
Total disregard for the citizen, the people, those of us who represent Charlotte. So I'm not surprised that they did not coordinate. Border Patrol did not coordinate with, they want to come in, they want to sneak in. Well, they said they were coming. They just didn't tell us what they were going to do, where they were going to be, and that kind of thing. So we really did not have, and that's why citizens are up in arms.
Go ahead and answer that, Mr. Homan, sir, if you could. She says total disregard.
Here's what many people don't realize about Tom Homan. He is very sympathetic when there is a collateral in deportations, such as Homeland Security was going after the very violent criminal who just so happens to be living with his mom. So if that mom is an illegal immigrant who's done nothing wrong, she gets deported as well. Tom Homan has made it very clear from the very beginning of the Trump administration when they started these deportations, they really want to focus on just the violent criminals. They're not trying to go door to door, and there was an expectation that the 3 million illegal immigrants who were supposed to leave the country based off of walking orders or marching orders where they can only be here temporarily, they didn't leave. So Tom Homan has always said he is very sympathetic to those situations, but they are left with no choice. If politicians are not going to work with the Trump administration, you're going to see more and more collateral. If the prisons are not going to open up to the Trump administration and lawmakers make it way too difficult, you're going to see way more collateral. But I do want to point out of everybody in the Trump administration, he always seems to be the most sympathetic with those collateral situations. But there's no choice. If you're not going to work with the Trump admin, it's going to be collateral. Violent criminal, living with people who have not done as violent of things. If you're an illegal immigrant, you get deported. That's what collateral means. Now, we finally have a statement from Kristi Noem. We actually haven't heard too much from her about this, so let's see what she has to say just 24 hours ago.
The city of Charlotte, this operation, Charlotte's Web, is underway. How's it going so far?
It's going good. We're using the investigative cases that we've built on these individuals in that area to go out and after the worst of the worst. We're going after people who've committed robberies, assaults, DUIs, getting them off the streets, keeping people safe. That is exactly what the leadership in the city should be partnering with us on, and what the governor should be as well. But grateful that every single day I get to wake up and work for a president that just wants to protect the American people. So we've got many individuals we've already arrested and are bringing to justice and deporting, returning them back home to their countries. And all of that is built off of getting those worst of the worst off of our streets to make.
So this is the biggest critique right now when it comes to Operation Charlotte's Web, because going into this operation, it was made very clear that Border Patrol was actually going to operate a little different when operating in Charlotte compared to Chicago. The announcement was, we specifically want to go after the worst of the worst. You guys probably keep hearing that, but that's why I wanted to really hone in on what's called collateral. If you go after the worst of the worst, what we see statistically, most likely, there is some sort of connection to another illegal immigrant who might not be involved with the worst of the worst, but there's some sort of connection there. And we know, legally speaking, if you are an illegal immigrant, Homeland Security can inquire about you and then deport you. So that's why we're seeing this really big disconnect. You do have people who are not violent criminals who are being being deported. They are illegal immigrants, but then you do have the worst of the worst as well. And I've showed this before, but if you go to Chief Bovino's actual X page, they will show you who they are arresting. In fact, in Chicago, they just arrested this person, and I'm really curious, like, how this happens. I have no idea, but it happened. Would you trust him in your neighborhood? This illegal alien just happens to be a registered sex offender with conviction for criminal sexual assault. Despite his criminal history, this Mexican national was living freely and endangering Chicagoans. Again, statistically speaking, the mass majority of Americans would not be okay with this. 90% of Americans do not like criminal. 65% of Americans want deportations. You put that together, again, that is a unifying factor here that the majority of Americans would see a problem with this and want it to be handled accordingly. Now, I don't know the details of all of this, but it's out there. It's on Chief Bovino's page. Okay, now moving forward, again, there seems to be this big narrative battle surrounding Charlotte. I think you'll find this clip rather interesting. Check it out.
And Willie, you told me that you voted for President Trump in 2024. Do you regret that decision? ¿Te arrepientes esa decisión?
Yes, 100%.
Why do you regret that decision?
That's because it's nothing that's true. It's not true. You know, and the first time he says something, and now, example, in the Latino people, we see everything is different. And the first time, example, he say he go to catch the delincuentes. Criminals, yeah. And right now, he don't follow to criminals.
Okay, so I'm just going to point out, this video is circulating all over conservative media to be like, okay, what is going on here? Because if you voted for Donald Trump and now you're mad about the deportations, like, how does that make any sense? So I just want to point out, again, this is a big narrative and media war we are seeing on all fronts already in Charlotte, North Carolina. Day 4. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I apologize if it seems so chaotic, there's so much going on, but this is the reality of the story. I mean, we have federal agents using drones, we have car crashes, we have car chases, we have whistles, we have lawmakers going off on Border Patrol. There is so much going on. It's also being reported that Raleigh, North Carolina is the new target for Border Patrol already. And we have Chicago, we have Los Angeles, a lot's going on. So thank you guys so much for being here. Again, please pray for peace. We need that right now. I always try to advocate for peace on my channel. We really need it. Thank you guys so much, and leave your comments down below how you feel about everything we just watched, and we'll see you guys later. Thank you.